Hey everybody, my name is Akinola Verissimo with Generation Next, and we are here for a brand new episode. We're very glad you're able to join us today. Today I have a very special guest. I know her personally. I've known her for a while, and I'm happy to have her on the show. Introducing Narz. Narz, what's going on? How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. It's getting a little chilly here in New York City, so I'm not really looking forward to that. But you know what? I'm looking forward to the holidays and for the
Yeah.
new Cyberpunk 2077. Hopefully,
Oh,
and the new consoles that are coming out. I'm not sure what I'm going to pick, but I'm leaning more towards PlayStation.
yeah. PlayStation definitely seems like the
Right?
the the great choice to have.
hmm
So all about video games, and this is going to like trend into this discussion that we're going to have to try and get people watching a little bit more insight into people who are movers and shakers in gaming and esports. So I just want to jump right into it and ask you straight up about your history. I've known you for a little bit, but have never really delved into what makes you you.
hmm
So let's talk about your history with video games. What time in your life did you get involved with gaming? And let's just see where the conversation goes.
Okay, so I started playing games when I was like 5, and I was introduced to video games because I had a female cousin. Her name is Clarissa, and she was playing Resident Evil and Tomb Raider. And I remember just like sitting and watching her play Claire Redfield being attacked by all these zombies. I was like, wow, this woman's. I was like, this is so cool. And like for me, it was like I have a female cousin playing a female character in a very, very horrific game. At the time I was 5, I was like, oh my God. I thought my dollhouse was a zombie or a clicker or liquor, sorry. And then her father would play all the old school Genesis games. So you're talking about like Contra Hardcore, it was Metal Slug, he was playing Strider, and it was just like watching him glued. And my parents, I'm the oldest out of 4. So they're like, let her just like, figure out what she wants to do in her life. And since then I was like, I want to do something in gaming. I absolutely want to do something in gaming. And so I thought I'll be an animator, I'll be a designer. Like I want to make games. And so when I was on my way to graduate high school, I had a full scholarship to go to a college. I won't say because I keep saying it, and they tell me not to say, but whatever. I had a full scholarship to go to this college, and I was going to be out of there in 3 years. I was going to be like a designer, animator. I was going to get picked up by gaming companies, and I was so excited to start doing game design. And a week before I was supposed to start my first day, my scholarship was revoked, and I literally was abandoned with nowhere to go. And I was like, supposed to do? Like I wanted to do gaming, and so I scrambled to like just go to another college, and I ended up going to Queens College. But Queens College had no gaming program, nothing. So I was like, well, I'll try something else. I'll try art, and I hated art. Oh my God. I like art history sucks. I'm sorry to anyone that like watching this. Like I was like, I don't care. I just want to draw. I just want to do these things. And so my life started drifting away to psychology, and I started that became my major. And I was a lab assistant. I was on my way to become a neuroscience, get my PhD, do research. I really wanted to do that. And then somebody around me was like, hey, being a PhD, getting your PhD in neuroscience, that's your plan B. But what is your plan A? And I was like, oh, video games. It always was video games. And at the time, I was like, well, how do I get back into gaming? I don't have any experience in gaming. I just play games. And I did something where, unique for myself, where I took what I knew, which was psychology, and I mixed it with video games, and I got video game psychology. I ended up, and like, I just started writing about video game psychology. I picked League of Legends as my number 1 topic, and I started talking about behavioral modification, how to modify. This was when the Tribunal was around, and I was writing about how to modify people's behaviors using the Tribunal. And I didn't put this on like any major website. I made a blog spot. I made a WordPress, and I just started uploading my articles there. And then, when Medium came out, then I started uploading on Medium, and then I tweeted out. And then slowly but surely, people started seeing my articles. They're like, oh, this was a really good article. This was a really good article. And then people started talking, oh, wow, you got to check out Narz's article. And that's how I got picked up by Fatality. He had a website at the time. Hip Hop Gamer put me on his website, where I started writing articles for him. Game Skinny, Gay Tyrant. And I was getting so good that even Digital Trends offered me a job. And at that time, I was like, do I really want to do journalism? And this was a time when journalism was at its peak. But for me, it was like, yeah, I've done journalism, but what's the next step? And again, like, this is your plan B, but what is your plan A? And then I started doing social media for esports teams. And this was just something I self-taught. I didn't go to school for social media. I literally like went to Coursera.org and I taught myself about social media marketing management, how to do social media calculations and analytics. I taught myself all of this. And at the time, I was a configuration analyst in IT for a health insurance company. So I was very tech savvy. So I was like, I'll just teach it myself.
Mhm.
So when I did social media for these two esports teams, I was like, getting so many like connections. I had so many PR people that I was talking to because of my journalism background. And now with this marketing background, I was really like, in emails with a lot of big people from like DreamHack, people from Sony, from Ubisoft. Like they were my friends now, and I was like, this is nice, but I want to do something more, like this isn't like this, like I don't want to just do, I want to do something more nitty gritty, something more in esports. And I got picked up by the Mixer NYC studio. The gamer agency became an agency that was helping build the Mixer NYC studio. They hired me. Initially, I was supposed to be a host, but I backed out because I really want to learn production. I was very adamant about learning production. So I became the social media producer. And I was there for about a year and change until they sadly closed down. And then I was like, damn, like, I didn't like that either. I didn't like being in social media. And so then I was like, someone told me, like, why don't you do something for yourself? All these things that you've learned along the way, why not do it for yourself? Why not help yourself grow? And that's when I started being a content creator. And that's when I started being a streamer and being a host. And that's how I got my role on Cheddar Esports. And I was hosting Cheddar Esports for a while. And then I just started like hosting all these other things. People were seeing me like, oh, look at this. Like she's doing this, she's doing that. And I would always post it on like my LinkedIn and my Twitter. Those were the two social accounts that I would always use to showcase the stuff that I was doing. And that was really kind of like, it was through word of mouth, just people being like, Narz knows what she's talking about. Narz is very amicable. She's cool. She's chilled. She knows about gaming. You should definitely talk to her. And it was complete. I never had to apply to anything or like that. But I was very adamant in putting my stuff out there and always being true to what I felt comfortable with. If I didn't like something at some point anymore, if it wasn't making me happy or I didn't find joy in it, I moved on. And I think sometimes some people have a hard time moving on for something because they're stuck on this dream. This is what I want to do. I want to be a Twitch partner. I want to have 25. I want to do Fortnite. And then you realize maybe that's not it for you. But then to be able to evaluate that and then plan accordingly to take the next step to where you really belong, it takes a lot of intuition. And I would say that. And now I'm here, and I honestly, like I said, I wanted to make video games for a living, but at the same time, I'm playing video games for a living. So it's close enough. Close enough.
What a story past. You a very good example of really just trying, not being afraid to try new things, because you never know what you might be into when you try a certain thing. Like, so for example, I'm trying to become the next big esports host, but that doesn't mean I should neglect this side thing, because it may bring more usefulness to the craft that I'm trying to learn, and no knowledge is wasted, really.
Exactly.
As a woman in esports, I can only imagine the struggles that you might go through garnering attention and dealing with men in general, because we're not the greatest. I'll admit, we can suck sometimes. How has it been in the landscape trying to show your worth compared to men at the same level? Do you feel like you have to try a little harder? Talk to me about what that's like.
So yes, unfortunately, for any women or female presenting that's listening to this, is going to be tough. And I'm so sorry for that. Myself and a lot of other women and even men are trying to make the space more inclusive because it's so necessary. But you're gonna need tough skin. Unfortunately, the culture is toxic to the point that if they hear a woman in the area, sometimes you have to write a dissertation to prove that you're a gamer. And I think that's pathetic, because I think whatever game you play, you are a gamer. Even if you play Bejeweled, okay, I think you're a gamer. And I feel like because there aren't enough representation out there, that we don't allow people to be introduced to all these different types of gamers. So if you're doing this and you are a very, unique person, meaning that you're a minority, I'm sorry, but you're going to get a lot of hate. And I again, it's with all the love that I say this, and you have to be tough-skinned, but know that there's an enormous amount of good people out there. There's an enormous amount of opportunity. There's there's a gap that needs to be filled. And if you're ready to take on that challenge, it's a responsibility that you're going to have to obviously hold on your shoulders, but the reward is so worthwhile. I've met so many amazing people, been a part of so many amazing projects, and it's like I just stay true to myself. I freaking love video games. Like, I'm obsessed with gaming, and that passion is what speaks volumes. You don't have to be, a 2-year experience, esports caster personality to get that. You should start small. Find the nearest tournament around you. Be a part of that, and be a part of it in a way that you're not asking for anything but knowledge and information. And knowledge is power. Once you know the infrastructures of tournaments and to how to get to where you want to go to, it's easy to do it. You just cannot give up on your own passion. You can definitely not give up on yourself. You're going to be for me, I was my only fan. I was my only cheerleader. My parents didn't believe in me, unfortunately. My sisters didn't. Everyone thought that what I was doing was a waste of time. And it took a long time. It took 7 years for me to get to the point where I was actually even making money. But all the while, I made relationships with people who were very powerful, had very strong voices. I understood that there were parts of the industry that I wasn't going to be doing. So I definitely knew journalism wasn't for me. I definitely knew social media wasn't for me. I knew that production was awesome, but I didn't want to be like behind the scenes. I really wanted to be in front of the camera. And that's when I found myself. And so you're going to have to find yourself. And as a woman, as a femme presenting, you have to find your little oyster. You need to find your ocean, your sanctuary, and surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up. Don't surround yourself with toxic people that are going to make you feel uncomfortable or deter you from your path. Be very true to yourself. And I tell you, you will never fail.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask about your parents, as someone who has brown parents. It can be hard to, I'm sure, to convince them about what you're trying for, whether it's worth it. A lot of times they come from a different background where they just don't believe in that stuff. And they're like, why are you wasting your time? Can you talk to me a little bit about how your parents felt when you were just getting into the esports and gaming industry versus how they might feel now?
So a little bit, I'm Dominican. I'm firstborn generation. My parents are both from Dominican Republic. They immigrated here when they were in college. So my parents are not necessarily like Americanized. They speak somewhat English. My mom speaks less English than my dad. And for them, coming to a new country it's very strange. I mean, I obviously don't know it, but having traveled, it's strange. Your children are growing up in a culture that you have no idea about. So you kind of like let them do what they need to do, but all the while you're like, stick to this tradition. And there was always a culture clash with my parents, like I'm the firstborn, I'm a woman, so it's like you gotta prepare to marry and have children, and so video games was like weird. Like, they don't even have the context that like video games were for men to be or boys. They didn't have that context. They were just like, oh, this is technology, this is cool, you want to technology, here's technology. And so, but thinking about like playing the game was one thing, but wanting to pursue a career in gaming was a complete other thing. 10 years ago, esports was not as cool as it was now. Not even gaming was cool as it was now. So it's like, it's only now that we have like Vanity Fair and the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and all these big journalists, like, major like corporations from news, like they're talking about it, but it wasn't such a hot topic before. So wanting to pursue something in gaming as a brown person was suicide. You're never going to go anywhere with this. What do you think you're doing? Like, this is crazy. Go get a real job. And I was always, go get a real job, go get a real job. And yeah, I got a real job. I was working in IT for 2-3 years, but all the while, that was my 9 to 5. And then my 5 to 9, I was working on myself. I was working on gaming. I was making content, making connections. I was using my vacation time from my job to go to cons, to go to PAX, to go to E3, to like record interviews and conversations and try to get as much content that's out there to prove to people that I was serious about this, that I was serious about pursuing something in esports and gaming. And it was a lot. I sometimes never slept. I sometimes would be, getting harassed all the time from my family. Oh, this is ridiculous. My friends, like so many, I've lost 2 best friends because of this. They thought I was like being a cam girl when I started streaming on Twitch. Really? They were like, you're so vain. Like, why do you put yourself on a camera? And it's like, it's because they just don't understand. They come from a world where gaming was never something that was going to be monetizable. And now that it is, everyone's like, oh, You know, Narz was right this entire time. And that's what you ultimately, that's what you need to just vision for yourself, is that you see where you're going. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And you're going to prove everyone wrong so long as you never give up on yourself. Brown, white, black, Asian, yellow. Like, if this is something that you want to really do, then do it 100%. But don't, like, if you get 0 viewers or 0 followers or nobody likes your content, whatever, that doesn't mean you should give up. That just means that you got to keep going.
I've seen you literally be inserted in everything. You're on every social media platform that there is. Does it ever feel like it's too much to handle? Like, I remember we're at PAX last year, and you had 2 cell phones, and I was like, "What you doing with 2 phones? Like, what is going on?" And it's just like you're always plugged in. Like, how do you do it? How do you find time to kind of disconnect from that? Because I know too much social media can make people go crazy. So how do you deal with that?
So 2 things. The reason I have 2 cell phones is exactly why. One phone is my personal phone, my dedicated personal phone. That's when my family, my friends can contact me. That's where I get, like, you know, my prescription from my doctor and stuff like that. And then I have a business phone, and my business phone is everything that's about my business, my calendar, my receipts, my emails, my everything is on that phone. So I first start out with that, and it makes it super, super easy for me. And then you have to schedule it. It's crazy, but like, even my parents, they're like, "So when can I schedule a time to see you?" And I'm like, "Let me see. I have Saturday available. Let me check my calendar." You know, but it has to be like that. More than anything, if you're really serious about doing this, you have to be in control. You only can be in control of yourself. And if you can control yourself to the point where you know what you're doing every single moment, and you can plan for months in advance, you can be prepared for pretty much anything. And for me, like, I have a calendar. I don't want to show you guys because it's tutti frutti. It's a whole rainbow color. I have like so many things going on, but I see it as like a way to give myself some sort of peace and clarity, knowing that I'm not missing out on anything. I'm never going to have FOMO because I know what I have planned. Every single opportunity that I've seen, I've taken advantage of, and I make sure that I have calculated that I can be able to, you know, plan for that. And then you schedule downtime. I also have in my calendar times where I spend time with my family. I spend time with, you know, I go to my sister's house and play with the dog over there, you know, Mushy, he's amazing. Or I just spend time at home. Like, you know, I love video games, but there's some games that I just play for fun. And then there's the games that I play for obviously for stream or for content. And then, you know, when it comes to staying in the know, that's hard. That is extremely hard. You're going to have to find ways to do it, whether it's RSS feeds, Twitter, following certain people on Twitter or Instagram. I use Feedly a lot, Feedly. It's a great source that you could be able to like get constant updates. But because I was in journalism, like I said, I'm on so many PR lists. So I constantly get emails from all these PR agencies just letting me know of new games that are coming out. So I try my very best to stay in the know. And I think it's because for me, I feel like I have to go the extra mile because I'm a woman, because I'm Latina, to prove and to validate that I belong here. But I feel like because of that, I validated myself. No one messes with me. Like, if I get into a conversation with someone, they're like, "Narz, you don't know." Like, you want to check me out 1v1 with you, bro? Let's go. Let's go. Aram, log on right now. Come on. What rank are you, bish? What rank are you? So yeah, but it works. It definitely is worth it.
That's something I've always appreciated about you. I feel like it would be dumb for people to challenge your dedication and love for games just based off the fact that you're a woman. I think that the landscape is getting better, but there's still those naysayers, those haters out there who will always have something to say. I wanted to move over to the topic of diversity and inclusion in the space. Something I've noticed over the past few years is, you know, you being a woman of color, on-camera personality. You might have noticed in a lot of the bigger esports that women have been relegated, for lack of a better phrase, to like hosting, like interviewing roles. Like, there aren't a lot of times you might see a woman on a desk with the boys talking to an analyst and stuff like that. But that is changing slowly. I was going to ask you, what does a good landscape of inclusion and success look like in the world of esports? Like, where would it be nice to see more women in the space, whether it be production or whether it be on camera in different esports and stuff like that? Like what looks like a good world to you?
I would say both, but anything that's publicly shown. So I
Mhm.
think the thing is there are a lot of women that are already doing behind the scenes stuff. They're in production. They just don't get spotlighted for that. I think it's in the power and it's in the responsibility of production companies, esports teams, esports organizations, publishers, developers to spotlight more women that are in executive leadership roles, that are in like production, that are doing amazing things, because it is so necessary, because then that inspires other women, minority femme presenting, to be like, oh snap, I can do this too, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I would love to see more hosts. I would love to see more pro players who are women. I know Gen G is doing an amazing job of bringing out more
Yes.
women into the pro scene, and even like Miss Harvey is doing an incredible job. She has an entire program that's helping women to get more into esports, specifically in the professional, like pro player realm. Like if you're good at Fortnite or Overwatch, hit up Miss Harvey. She's creating this program to literally walk you through how to become a professional. That's available to a lot of guys, I guess, but not a lot of women have that opportunity. And sometimes it can be intimidating being the only woman in an entire a room full of men. And I feel
Mhm.
like if you can find one other woman that is in gaming, pair with them. But I think
Mhm.
there's also this really bad notion that if there's too many women in a room, we all have to be competitive. And that's something that I wanna shoot down right now. You should, as a woman, you should not be putting down another woman. The other woman in the room is not your competition. You are your own competition. So if you are in a room and it's full of men and there's one other woman, go be that woman's friend. Go be that femme presenting's friend,
Mhm.
because we are stronger in numbers than divided. And if we are divided, we are hurting our chances even more. And I've seen a lot of women in esports think that because they're the only one, and it's that like pick me girl. Don't
Mhm.
be a pick me girl. Do not be a pick me girl. Be someone that is all encompassing and compassionate, because that is the only way we're going to see change, if we stick together and we lift each other up. Because if you lift me up,
Mhm.
I'm going to remember what you did for me. And when a chance and opportunity comes, I'm gonna pay back the favor.
Oh yeah, for sure. I look up to you, obviously, as a go-getter, a hustler. You're someone who's not afraid to work hard. You've been doing all this great work. You've worked with all these great companies over the past few years, but you know, there's always usually someone that we look up to personally. So I was kind of curious about your inspirations growing up in this space and making it your own. Are there any individuals or groups or whatever who have motivated you to be the very best, like no one ever was?
uh to catch them. I have to say I have a big crush on Frost Kyrian.
Hmm.
I love Frost. She is my role model. When I think of a woman, a femme presenting, that's out there, that's kicking butt, that's literally toe to toe with men and even makes men slip up, is
Hmm.
Frost. And I say that because she's smart, she knows what she's talking about, she articulates her words, and she's doing a kick-ass job about it. And when she first came out, being an analyst and a color caster as well, a lot of people were like, oh my god, why do we have a woman on the, and it's like, because there isn't anyone. And she came out of the woodwork like boots on the ground, running at the full speed of light, and she did it. She knocked everybody out. Everyone at first was like trying to troll her, and then she turned around and trolled everybody else. And she's not afraid to clap back at some people. She is
Hmm.
not afraid to clap back. I mean, she is not afraid to speak her mind. And I feel like we need more people. We need people like that. We need more women like that, that are
Hmm.
unapologetically themselves and willing to clap back.
It's awful too. She was one of the first individuals in the
Mhm.
space where, just like you said, she's unapologetically herself. She
Mhm.
doesn't care what other people think about her. She knows what value she brings to the table, and you see that on every broadcast. She does her homework on analyzing the teams. She's confident in what she says, and yes, we definitely could use more of that from a lot more women in the space who. Just have yet to have the spotlight shine on them. So I'm totally in agreement with you there. Um, Looking back at your humble beginnings in esports is there any advice that you wish you'd given yourself to make the journey to where you are now a little smoother? I know there have been bumps along the way for all of us involved trying to be the next big thing in our respective spaces, whatever we're chasing. But, hindsight's 2020, as you know, and sometimes you might find yourself saying, oh, well, if I did this back then I wouldn't have had such a hard time now. So would you have any advice for your younger self that if you went back in time and saw young Narz, what would you tell her?
I would tell her find a community ASAP. Like, I feel like I didn't start actually seeing progress because I was writing journals and stuff like that, but I was doing it alone. I didn't really have a community or a Discord. I don't even think Discord was around at that time, but I didn't have a community or anything like that to support me. And it wasn't until I joined PMS Clan, shout outs to Amy Brady, that it wasn't until then that I had the support where people are like, yeah, you should totally do it. You should, do this, do that. I'll help you do this. Let's work on this together. And having that community, having that, because like I grew up with no brother, like I'm the oldest, so like I didn't have a brother growing up. A lot of my friends weren't into gaming, but having that kind of like just posse of other gamers, it totally changes your vibe and mood. You become so much more motivated, and that support really does a lot to your mental psyche. So find a community. Before you even do anything, find a community, find your troop, find your band of caballeros, like, so you can gallop into the sunset, with full force. And even if they aren't, streamers, content creators, but they still play games, that's all you need. You just need people that are going to be like, yeah, you can do this. Let me help you, or let's play games, or let's just chill, because that really affects your mental side. And I feel like I wish I had reached out. I wish I had been around other communities as well, because I feel like I wasted a lot of years just staying by myself, thinking that I could do this by myself, because I couldn't. It wasn't possible. It wasn't possible to get the strength to do it either. And it wasn't until I joined PMS Clan that I finally had the friends to make that happen. Like, Sarah Ventura and Sam Lighthammer and Silchris and Cresta Star, like they became my posse and they became my sisterhood. And because of them, I was able to strive for so much more.
What can we all do as, members in this space to make sure that we are pushing the scene forward in the best way possible? Even for the people who are watching this video who are thinking, we've got young kids who are going to be watching this video. They're going to be people who are already in the space, but we could always be doing more to make sure that we're doing our best. What are some things that people like me or people who are just getting started in the space can do to make sure that people feel welcome, people feel included, and that we're pushing the needle forward?
Well, I'll break it up because there are different types of people. So if you're a parent and you're out there and you have a son or daughter that's very interested in either being a content creator, a streamer, or an esports pro, help foster that. Find out about opportunities in your community or your area that are doing like open casual games, or take them to a tournament, take them to their first tournament, because that's literally what's going to help really get that kind of like spark going. And if they, are playing too much games, well, as a parent, it's your responsibility to curb and control how much they play. At the end of the day, they're still growing adults, they're children. And so it's your responsibility to ensure that they're balancing their lives between gaming and school, homework, and everything else. To anybody that's like a young adult that's like, I want to get into esports and gaming, I would say find any organization, specifically if you're in a college or a high school, find out if there's an esports club in your school. Find out. If there isn't one, make it. Because you know that if you make it, they will come. And if you're the person that's a president for an esports club, you will have a lot of eyeballs on your club, whether it's within the school or outside. Once you create that organization, that infrastructure, it's all about putting it out publicly, whether on Twitter or Instagram. And then just have like casual game nights, like tournament game nights where you give away RP or stuff like that. You'll find that there are a lot of organizations that are trying to support high schools and universities that are trying to get into esports and gaming. So if you start it yourself, you're already in a really good position to be able to get a lot out of that. If you are a woman and you're trying to, or femme presenting, and you're trying to get into gaming, first and foremost, do not be afraid. I think the biggest demons, our biggest demons and darknesses are within ourselves. And we shoot our foot before we even take a step forward. So if you're considering about doing it, first tell yourself you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You just cannot allow you can't allow yourself to be choked up by your own self. And the voices in our heads, they'll tell you otherwise. They'll tell you that you're not talented, that you suck, you're not a good host, you're not a good streamer. How could you do that? That's stupid. Do your very best to shut that voice up, and then just do it. And if you can't do it confidently, you can't do it, like unmitigated, then do it scared. Because at the end of the day, just doing it is what's important. A lot of people get scared with just streaming, and it's just like, just press that button. And once you press that button, all those fears melt away. If you want to like do esports, just start participating in tournaments. You want to get into production, start asking questions. Hey, can I volunteer? Can I intern with you in production? Can I intern at your esports organization? I have some social media background. Can I intern? I will volunteer.
All right, Narz, one last thing I want to know. I know you were born and raised in New York City, been there your entire life. How has the esports landscape in New York shaped you as a person? Because I feel like New York is one of the most esports infectious places in all the country. Like the amount of energy that I see for not just League of Legends, but Call of Duty League, Overwatch League is nothing short of ridiculous. So talk to me about how being involved with that has helped form your journey in esports and gaming.
First and foremost, I would say don't sleep on New York. Do not sleep on New York. Do not sleep on the East Coast. You think there's nobody here? You're lying. You're lying to yourself. And I say that wholeheartedly because even the little bit that we've seen here on the East Coast has blossomed. There is a booming community here. There are a lot of esports pros, a lot of them in content creators and streamers. I mean, we're just as vivacious as the West Coast. And if you sleep on us, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to miss out on a great opportunity because there's so much opportunity here in the East Coast. For myself, everyone thought that like I wasn't going to make it because I'm not in LA, I'm not in California, I'm not in Seattle, I'm not in Texas and all these places where publishers and game designers and where the community is. But you'd be surprised that, I may not be, another fish in the big pond, but I'm a big fish in a small pond over here. And that has done me a lot of solid good. So if you think you're not going to get the exposure that you would get in LA, so what? I say blossom where you are most comfortable in, where you feel the most connected, and you'll find out that you're going to make it happen regardless. You're going to create that environment. And in New York City, it's getting bigger and better. We've seen the LCS Worlds happen here at the Madison Square Garden, which was absolutely crazy. We've seen obviously the Overwatch League. New York Excelsior has been blowing up and creating a beautiful new environment here where esports can literally thrive in the Big Apple. And there are a lot of people that are piggybacking on this. There's more LAN cafes and LAN centers are becoming more akin to esports teams. And there are more streamer rooms here than ever before. Like we're getting the resources we need, and people are like trying not to jump in on the action here, but it's already too late. We fostered the community here. We know who's who already. And if you don't know who's popping in New York, then that means you're not in the know. And that sucks to be you then.
Absolutely. If you know, you know. That truer words have never been said. Narz, thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule to talk with me and everybody else watching. If everybody watching at home, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much again. My name is Akinola Verissimo, and we'll see you next time.